Hello, welcome back to another Culture and Connections. I am your hostess, Mariah Young, First Impressions Director with 48 Days. And today I am actually really excited to bring to you guys an entrepreneur, small business owner resource. Here at 48 Days, we love helping people activate their dreams. And there are some realities to that. There's finances and insurances and all these different things. And so I felt like when I met my guest that I'm about to introduce to you, that he is really awesome at help navigating some of the things that we have to deal with every day, like health insurance. And so that's what we're going to talk about. So let me ask you this. When open enrollment comes around, what is your process? Is it overwhelming? Do you hate it? How do you feel about that? Norm's going to help us take away some of the mystery behind health insurance, and he is going to help guide us in what we need to do November 1st when open enrollment happens. So stay tuned for just a moment. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I want you to grab your coffee, grab your water, something to drink that you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation. My guest today is Norm Wilkinson, the happy health insurance guy. And I got to tell you, the reason that I thought about bringing Norm on is because, first off, when we first started connecting, he's really fantastic and fun. You guys, this is going to be a very fun conversation. But also, I recognized that his love for collaboration, for helping people, and for making sure that people have what they need is so strong. I really felt like he was somebody that would help our audience of entrepreneurs and small business owners to be able to navigate some of the things that we don't enjoy doing, like health insurance. Who wants to become a health insurance guru when you're a small business owner and entrepreneur with all the other things that we have to do? So without further ado, I am so happy to bring to you Norm Wilkinson. Yay!
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Norm. Oh my gosh. Let's start off really quickly. I would love for you to share a little bit about who you are, and then we will move through some of our topics.
Awesome. So, like you mentioned earlier, I'm Norm. I am the happy health insurance guy. I ran a newspaper for 25 years. I grew up in the newspaper business. I thought I knew a lot about health insurance because I'd bought, everything from group to individual to public to private, you name it. And then, well, about 5.5 years ago, the cool thing to say as well, like we closed down the paper and transitioned over. But the reality is, you know what? I went flat out of business. I had to figure out what in the world do I want to do with my life. I got one of those job things that I'd heard so much about. I thought, hey, you know what? Anybody can do a job. No big deal. You punch a clock, you do a thing, you go home. Turns out, no, I am so unemployable. I I did that for a little bit. I lasted 3 months. What finally broke the the straw on the camel's back, so to speak, was my daughter texted me from school, said, "Hey, I threw up. Can you come pick me up?" And I had to email some 20-year-old kid and ask for permission. And that's when I realized, no, I'm not cut out to have a job. I have to go back to the entrepreneurial lifestyle. Um, and I went back to a networking group, said, guys, I need help. And I had 3 offers that morning because thankfully I'd had that job thing for a few months. I was smart enough to take the one opportunity that did not come with a paycheck, go self-employed, learn health insurance. And what I've learned from there has just been amazing. I started out trying to be, you know, dude at company, and that didn't work. So I realized, hey, you know what? I'm going to brand myself, become the happy health insurance guy because it fits my soul. I'm nothing but a giant goofball. And I want to know who you are. When I talk to you health insurance, we're going to have a good time. I'm going to get to know you. You're going to get to know me. We're going to have a great conversation somewhere in there. Yeah, we'll also take care of your health insurance, make sure you're in the right spot. But biggest thing is we're going to build a relationship.
I love that. And I noticed that right off the bat. I mean, the moment you and I started chatting, I was like, oh, okay, we're going to be friends. Oh, and let's address the elephant in the room here real quick. We're matching. We did not know that.
Exactly. Ka-chow.
Just
Orange.
kidding.
Orange is the color of happy, coincidentally. So
Oh, well, there you go. I love it. I love it. So, Norm, can you tell us a little bit? Let's dive right in because I think this topic is so important, as I mentioned. And you actually said it. We don't want to become experts in health insurance as entrepreneurs. There's plenty of other things that we already have to learn and know and do and delegate. This is the last thing that we want to have to delegate or have to do with. So, can you share with us a little bit about what you do?
absolutely. So everything starts with, and I'm sure this goes across the board on what everybody in the audience ideally does is you talk to a potential client and it's all about that needs audit. It's all about tell me your situation. The way that what I'm going to recommend for somebody that has a 100 employees is going to be way different than what I'm going to recommend for the guy that's got 5 employees, they're all part-time, or the guy that's running a side hustle that he hopes to become his main hustle. The person that is, the couple that is, hey, well, my neighbor's a few houses down, who he was 65, he's going on Medicare. They've been retired for a decade, and well, she's only 60.
Mm.
Well, what do we do for that situation? Or, what's your health picture like? What's basically it's that needs audit where we're going to say, what is your situation? Because there are, you know, dozens and dozens, there's over 100 different health plans that you could choose from at any given moment. So I'm not going to come into anything and say, hey, great, I need to sell you health insurance. This is a really good plan because I make the most commission off of it. Let's go from here. All right, cool. Let's sell you something. No, it's let's find out. And I specialize in entrepreneurs. I specialize in people that are typically self-employed. Basically, my ideal client is somebody that's reasonably healthy, somebody that is earning too much money to get the government to pay for their health insurance. That's my customer. That's my ideal person. So if you're not fitting in those and we're having a conversation, I'm not going to sell you one of the policies that I offer. I'm going to say, hey, great, you know what? I have a partner that does this. He's not like a legal partner, but he's the person that I trust to set you up. And I'm going to make a quick text intro and say, hey, great, let me introduce you to my partner over here. He'll get you taken care of. Or we're going to say, oh, well, you know what? Looking at your plan, dude, you're great where you are. You should not make a change. Or I'm going to say, okay, yes, let's talk about what I have to offer because this is going to be the best. And let me tell you why. So there's a little education piece in, but the biggest thing is I want to know where you're at because I want to know what to recommend. It's a lot of people, it seems, buy health insurance. And I was joking with you before we came on about friends don't let friends buy health insurance on the internet, right?
I was
Well,
hoping you would mention
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Open enrollment comes up last year, and I'm in Utah now. I'm licensed in 33 states, so I can take care of people anywhere that they are. Um, but in Utah alone, there were 98 health insurance plans
Ugh,
on healthcare.gov. So a lot of people
gross.
they just come on and like, oh shoot, let's find the right budget point. Click that one. You don't really know what you bought. I like to use the analogy. That's like walking onto the car lot and saying, hey, you know what? I've got $50,000. Here you go. I need a vehicle. And just
Uh-huh.
buying whatever they bring out. You know what? Maybe you are looking for a new Corvette and they bring out a Suburban. Well, okay. Maybe you're looking for a work truck and they bring out a Miata. You don't just need to throw them your cash. You want somebody to work with you and say, okay, well, why do you want a car?
Oh,
What do you want with your car?
I think that's a really good point, right? And if we were to put these into points, that is a really good one. Don't just go and look at the list and pick one based on price point. You need to know what it is that you are purchasing so that you don't get that surprise, like you said, in the hospital and you're like, oh, none of this was covered. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I've had that conversation with clients a lot, and I try to do enough of an education piece when we're talking so that you know how to use your insurance, you know where to go, you know what hospitals are going to be in your network, you know if you travel, how
Hmm.
to find a doctor that's in your network. It's really a lot of key components that unless you are trying to be a health insurance expert, you only need to know in a time of crisis and make sure that you don't buy it online where you don't have an insurance agent that's ready to help you at 2 in the morning when you call and say, "Hey, Norm, I'm in Evanston, Wyoming, or I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or I'm in this part of the country, and dude, I need to see a doctor. Where can I find one?" And I'm thinking, well, I told you how to log in, but sure, let me do that and find one for you. Where are you? Cool. Drive 2 miles north on that road. It's on the right side of the road and it's open.
Yeah. So let me understand. So let's look at like an open enrollment is November 1st.
Yep.
What are some of the big mistakes that you see people make when that is opening?
So the biggest mistake, like I said at first, talk to an agent. I mean, ideally, I hope you call the happy health insurance guy. I
Yeah.
kind of like that dude. I hope he can help you. But talk to a local insurance agent, somebody that knows what they're doing. Because two mistakes. One is you just go on to, like we said, healthcare.gov and you just buy something based on price and hope for the best. That's just rolling the dice and praying.
Mm.
Um, but two, a little thing that somebody was really smart way back in the day, and they bought a great domain name. They bought healthcare.com. That's not the government's health insurance website. That's a lead gen site. So if you
Mm.
go there, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I guess I have to put my information in here. And then as soon as you hit enter, within seconds, your insurance or your personal information has been sold to 30 different insurance agents, and they are going to call you relentlessly for years
Oh,
because they purchased your information as a lead, and you thought you were doing what you were supposed to do. So, you know, just back to, talk to somebody local, hop onto your local chamber, find an insurance agent. Uh,
mm.
Go to the happyhealthinsuranceguy.com. If I'm not licensed in whatever state you happen to be in, I will find someone for you to talk to because it's going to be a better situation.
So Norm, what is the big difference between just going online and seeing an agent? I would really love to hone in. You're saying some of this. Let's really like make that clear. What's the difference?
So the biggest difference is going to be the level of expertise. So if you talk to me and you tell me, or really honestly, if you talk to any health insurance agent that's been in it for a while, we've walked through claims with people.
Mm-hmm.
We've had friends that have been diagnosed with cancer. We've had friends that have had heart attacks. We've seen how the different plans work. One, we know the networks, or at least we better know the networks. It's kind of our job.
Mm-hmm.
Two, we know realistically, we know how to walk you through different scenarios. Everybody's got a different concern. If I'm talking to Mariah and she says, "Hey, you know what? My family has a history uh, of lung cancer. I'm really, really worried that that's going to be the case with me. Oh my gosh, that's my big concern." Or another family says, "Hey, you know what? I got 3 little kids. They're all into sports. I'm really freaked out that we're gonna have the hospital or the ambulance show up because one of the kids busted a leg on the soccer field. That's my big worry." Okay, well, let's first off make sure that scenario, let's say how does that scenario play out? What
Mm-hmm.
happens in those situations? Now, oh, by the way, also, with this plan, okay, great, you've got doctor visits, you've got prescription coverage, you've got x-ray coverage. There's all these neat little things. And also, uh, what's your worst case scenario? Is it a $3,000 out of pocket? Is it a $9,600 out of pocket? Is that, oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, what you're buying doesn't have an out-of-pocket maximum, so don't buy that because, if you get cancer, cool, it's going to cover like 12 grand of it, but then you're going to be, spending the other $2,500 on your bankruptcy attorney. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the situation you want to be in.
No.
And, I try to make it one, we're going to make sure to take care of you, no matter who you're talking to as an agent. It's their role and ideally their passion to make sure you're in the right spot. If you're talking with me, well, like I say, I'm also a goofball, so we're going to tell some dad jokes along the way. We're going to have some fun.
I love it. I love it. It sounds to me, this is something new in my mind ever, just being an entrepreneur, learning to invest in myself. When you're talking, I'm thinking about my experience with my real estate agents that I had from moving from Washington and moving here. They acted as coaches to me for the sale and then for the purchase of our new home. And I thought, wow, I don't know how I would do this without them. Like, I don't know how people sell their own homes. There's so
Mhm.
much to it. And I'm kind of thinking that with insurance too. You sound like you are really more of an insurance coach. Like, you're going to walk people through what they need, what they don't need. They can call on you if they have questions. That's huge.
Well, and the real estate agent is a fantastic analogy because you know what? You can log on to the internet and you can purchase your own health insurance without ever talking to an insurance agent. You can full on legally buy and sell your home
Mm-hmm.
all on your own without an agent. Now, on the other hand, what does that open you up to? With a real estate transaction, there are so many things that you leave yourself open to on a liability issue. You don't disclose something properly, you're going to get sued.
Mm-hmm.
There's a million things that you don't know about real estate unless you're a real estate agent or a real estate expert. You don't know real estate law. You haven't had to go through the state exams. There's a million things. I would never ever think, oh, cool, I think I'll just sell my home and save myself that commission, which, the commission's taken out of that transaction. In insurance, it's a lot different because you're going to pay the same rate whether you talk to an agent or not. The agent gets paid by the insurance company, so you never see that chunk.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, so many different things. I could probably figure out how to fix my daughter's car that leaks something, but I don't want to. I'm going to break a finger. I'm going to use my own health insurance if I wind up doing that,
Right.
as
Yeah.
opposed to if I pay somebody to do it, one, it'll probably be cheaper because they'll do it right the first time, and two, it'll save me loads of cash that I won't have to donate to the swear jar.
Right. I love your points there. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's so many things we just don't know that we just don't know.
Mhm.
So, Norm, when someone engages with you, what does that process look like? And let's go ahead and make sure that they know how to work with you. Let's start there and let's talk about that process a little bit.
So on the how to work with me, I try to be really, really, really easy to find. I'm the Happy Health Insurance Guy. You can find me at thehappyhealthinsuranceguy.com. You can go to Instagram, look up the Happy Health Insurance Guy. Facebook, look up the Happy Health Insurance Guy. LinkedIn, look up the Happy Health Insurance Guy. I try to make sure my contact information is really easy to find. If you go to thehappyhealthinsuranceguy.com, everything's going to be geared towards make your appointment. It'll schedule a Zoom appointment with me. On the other hand, if you answer that you're going to be a better client for someone else, then I've got a partner that you're going to be on one of our calendars. So it just
Mm,
depends on, a couple of quick pre-screen questions to make sure you're in the best place. Now, as far as what the process looks like, let's say that, okay, great, you say, okay, great, I'm reasonably healthy. The government isn't paying for my insurance. You wind up on my calendar. The first thing that's going to happen is it'll schedule a Zoom. It's just going to say, okay, great, let's just get you taken care of. So it's going to block out 45 minutes. Typically, it does not take that long, but I want to
mm,
make sure I've got enough time to walk through any scenario you've got, answer all the questions, make sure that there's a good relationship built. We're going to walk through. I'm going to say, okay, great. Based on what you've told me, and again, we'll go through the needs audit because I want to know what's your situation. I want to know I'm recommending the right insurance coverage for you, for your family, for your business, for your employees, whatever that looks like. Then from there, we're going to go through here's the details of the plan. Here's what it covers. Here's what it doesn't cover. Health insurance is not all inclusive. No plan is going to cover everything. It's all a matter of give and take. So there's pros and cons to everything on the market. So I'm going
yeah.
to say, okay, great. You've got the following situations. This is the best plan for you. Here's the price. Here's what it covers. Here's what it doesn't. Run through the application, get it submitted into underwriting. Where I specialize, like I say, is underwritten. So you have to be reasonably healthy to qualify for it.
Mm,
And then, the insurance company calls you, they verify everything. We can have that coverage in place in many cases the next day.
nice.
We had one last night. Gal called and said, okay, hey, you know what? Worked with you a few years ago. We need to get something set up again. Her coverage is in place this morning. That's really
That's
neat.
amazing.
It can move very, very quickly. Sometimes not that fast, but it can.
Sure. Yeah. And I think, what a great point to that too, because I think about, the jobs that we've all worked with. I've never had any HR person walk us through what our insurance covers and doesn't cover. So when then you're like, oh, I need this or I need that, I know, my husband's usually the one that has had our insurance. He has to go to HR and say, hey, how come this isn't covered? Or hey, how come? And it's
Mhm.
like, it's a process. So getting to work with someone, more one-on-one sounds pretty amazing, I have to say.
It really is neat. This morning I had a call from a client who back in July wound up with a brain tumor, and so we're walking through, we're getting ready for what's next year's coverage look like.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a rough health situation. She had to go through a lot, but at the same time, now we can plan in the future and we can say, okay, now what's the future coverage going to look like? We'll know what open enrollment looks like come November 1. We'll know what those plans are. We'll know what other coverages exist. We can really plan through. She doesn't have to be on her own. Anxiety is a massive piece of health insurance because you don't specialize it in it. Maybe you're specializing in being a car mechanic. Maybe you're a general contractor. Maybe you are a Sensi representative. Whatever it is that you do, you specialize in that. And then health insurance is just this giant, massive heap of anxiety that shows up once a year, and it always seems to kind of linger. Even after you've bought it, you're like, oh, well, crud, I don't know if I got to go get this little thing looked at on my arm. I don't know if that's going to be covered. How does it work with my annual physical? Is it covered? Do I have to pay some? Do they pay me? I mean, I went and got my physical. I got a $125 check here on my desk because I went and got my physical. How cool is that?
Hey.
That's just kind of a neat little thing. But it's always this ball of anxiety that hangs over. And what I want to do is I want to take that, break it into reasonable chunks, and say, what is it that you care about? What is it that you need? What's your situation? I've seen that situation, 100 times. So based on what you've told me, let me make a recommendation. It keeps it
Mm-hmm.
simple. It eliminates the the moment.
Which we have no
Uh,
matter what, right? At least if we know we're covered,
Yeah,
it's
and
a
I want to
little
make
less.
sure that you're not in that situation where the doctor says, "Hey, congratulations, you're alive. You survived that heart attack. You are going to have another one when you see the invoice."
Seriously.
I just want to make sure
Absolutely.
that people are in the best situation so they can call me and say, "Okay, Norm, I had this happen. What does this look like?"
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I like being that dude. Okay, you had this happen based on your current coverage that we selected forever ago. Here's the way that's going to play out. You're going to owe this much money. You're going to have the following things happen. And a lot of the time, I just tell people, great, get all your invoices, get all your EOBs. Let's hop on a Zoom. Let's walk through that together. Turn this ream of paper into a spreadsheet that is manageable and understandable and say, okay, you pay the following bills. The insurance took care of the rest.
Yeah.
That's where it
I
is.
love that. I love that. And, I think one thing that this could be very helpful for as well is, back to my home insurance. I can't help it. But when we first had home insurance, we were brand new homeowners. We didn't know anything about anything. So we just looked up health insurance. Well, we switched over to actually USAA is the one that we are lucky to have for home insurance. And we found out we were way undercovered, way like
Hmm.
so badly that if anything had happened, thank God it didn't. But if anything had happened, we would have just been probably bankrupt because it was that bad. And so learning that, we didn't learn it until we switched with an agent. But I think with health insurance, it's that way too, right? Like you don't want to find out that you're way undercovered when you have the
Yeah.
incident.
Well, and once you have something happen at that point, it's too late. A lot of people say, hey, you know what? I'm healthy. I don't really need health insurance. Something happens, I'll get health insurance. If you wake up in the hospital, it's a little too late to apply for health insurance.
Yeah.
And I've talked with people where that was the case. And
Yeah.
one person in particular that his family's become a client of mine now. He woke up in that situation where, hey, great news, buddy. You're alive. That quadruple bypass came to $198,000.
Mm.
He was with a health share at the time, and they came back and said, "Hey, we really appreciate you keeping giving us money, but we've decided not to share any of your expenses. Total
Oh.
of $0 benefit."
Oh.
And so he had to negotiate like a madman, and realize that, oh well, no, that's what you purchased. They have the right to do that, so they did. And it
Yikes.
was a crazy bit, but you don't want to be in that situation. That's one of the scariest possible moments. And what you want, I mean, I look at, uh, 3 weeks ago, my dad had a stroke.
Mm.
He's Medicare. He's got pretty decent coverage there. I didn't set it up because I don't specialize in Medicare. I have a partner that is really, really good. And I said, hey, let me introduce you to my folks. They need a new plan. Boom, whatever that was.
Yeah.
And he's in the hospital. My dad's an accountant. And so, that many years of accounting, everything's a dollar amount. And he's
Mm.
like, oh my gosh, what's this going to cost? What's this going to cost? What's this going to cost? And it's like, well, hey, you know what? I know where your plan is. Here's your max out of pocket. You already spent some because you got roto rooted earlier this year, man. Okay, so no matter what the worst case scenario is, you're not financially devastated. You're not
Right.
losing everything you've worked hard to earn. The boat isn't going to get repoed because all of a sudden you had to sell it to pay the doctor. It's okay. We can walk through
Mhm.
these situations. It doesn't have to be that second heart attack because, oh my gosh, there's a big ball of what in the world am I going to get? Am I $80,000 in the hole now?
Ugh, I love, yeah. I mean, because as if there isn't enough drama around something like that, to have to add the
Hmm.
bills onto it on top of it is just, it's a heartache. You're right.
Yeah. Well, and the doctors don't come in and say, okay, you know what, we should do an MRI. It costs this dollar amount. Would you like to proceed? No, their job is to say, let's make sure you're healthy. Sure,
Right.
you can refuse coverage anytime you want to, but their job is making sure, that they do their job. They don't know how much an MRI costs. They're just
Correct.
saying, okay, let's order the MRI. We need to know the following things. Boom, send it off.
Right.
And so
Which is
that's
what
your
you'd want
insurance
them to
too.
do, right?
Right. Yeah. You're like, I don't know. I mean, the bleeding's pretty bad,
Uh,
but the stitches are going to be $8,000. What can I get for 3 grand? You get a little crazy
right.
glue, maybe some duct tape.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. How crazy would that
Uh,
be? Oh, well, Norm, thank you so much for joining us. This was absolutely amazing. I want to know a personal question now. Can you tell us something fun, funny, or interesting about yourself?
well, let's see. Fun, funny, or interesting. I am well, okay. So I love one of the things that you talked about on the intro, and kind of the theme of 48 hours is activate your dreams, right?
Hmm.
So with that, I just bought a new Corvette. It's been a fantasy for 30 years. And part of what I've been doing is working towards that. So that's not so much the fun, funny, or interesting. I did put logos on the side of it. So if you're in Utah and you see the Happy Health Insurance Guy logo on a Corvette, that's me.
I love
Hopefully I
it.
didn't drive too bad. But the fun, funny, interesting, because of my personality, and I'm really hoping I waiting still for the license plate so I can order a vanity plate. And I'm really hoping, if you listen to the podcast before I get a chance, don't steal this from me, okay? What I want to do for my vanity plate, if it's available, is I want it to say I'm dad, so that the license plate frame can say hi hungry. So yes, it will make somebody smile when they pull up beside and they look at, hi hungry, I'm dad.
I
That's
like
where
that
my
you're
site is.
incorporating a joke, a dad joke into your license. That's great.
We were driving to Disneyland one time several years ago, and some dude's license plate said dad joke, and I was like, yep, you and I get
I
along,
love it.
buddy.
Don't you wish you could like meet people based on that? Like we have to be, we
Yes.
have to call over. I've definitely had that before. I love that. Oh my gosh! And what color is your Corvette? I feel like I saw it
It
online,
is.
but
You probably did. It is orange. It matches our
that's what I
shirts.
thought.
See, orange. When I was designing a logo, or having a company help me design a logo, uh, I'm looking at what can work. And well, if you look at the color slash emotion wheel, orange is the color of happy. And
Mm.
so everything in my life became orange, and it just fits. It's beautiful.
I love it. It is a really great color. It is. Awesome. Do you have any final thoughts for our audience as we wrap up?
So the final thought would really be kind of the overarching, or just the thought of when open enrollment comes around, talk to an agent. Don't just hop online and buy stuff. Best case scenario in that, you wind up with a good plan. Worst case scenario, you just sold your information to 30 or 40 or 50 different health insurance agents, and you're going to hate health insurance even more. Um, Also with that, when you talk to somebody, whether it's me, whether it's an agent, wherever you live, find somebody that you get along with, that your personality matches, that understands the way you think, because you don't just have to buy health insurance from the first person you talk to, unless obviously it's me, in which case you really have to. But
Yeah.
make sure that whoever you're talking to isn't just trying to sell a policy. Make
Mhm.
sure they show you why what they're recommending is best.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody that cares, because that's, that you want to make sure that whoever you're talking to will answer their phone when you have a challenge. Because, I mean, talking to somebody that set you up with insurance versus calling an 800 number and sitting on hold for 40 minutes, there's a huge difference.
Mhm. Definitely. Definitely. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I think I may be interviewing one of your partners next week, Jamin.
Oh, Jamin Andelin is an
Yeah.
absolute genius. I've worked with him for 4.5 years. I've sent a lot of business his way. Uh, that guy, as a preference, he graduated accounting, so
Oh,
he is a numbers guy, very 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 smart on that, and has a lot of things that uh, he has a lot of knowledge and wisdom. I've called him on questions that I have. So to preface that event with a shout out, Jamin Andelin is amazing. He's one of the guys that I talk about when I say make sure whoever you're talking about cares.
yes, I love it. Perfect. I'm sure he's going to say the same about you. So I will make sure to mention that as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Norm. I really appreciate it. I love that we have connected, and I know that we are going to, I'm hoping to send lots of people your way, and we'll continue. If you have, I hope you don't mind if people have questions, I'll send them your way.
Please do. Feel free to call me 801-687-9191, or find me on any of the socials and send a message that way. I tend to reply pretty quick on those. Uh, I like I say, I'm a small business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. I try to be really available.
I love it. I love it. Well, guys, if you're watching the replay, which I know most of our audience does, you heard it, go ahead and reach out. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And until next week, live creatively, friends. Bye.
Have a great one.